Hello and welcome to 10-Minute Elections. Today is Tuesday, July 28th, 2020, as I apologize for the delayed upload. Not to worry, I am still on the Monday-Thursday schedule. It's just that I experienced some technical difficulties once again in the uploading process, but I believe that I do have those straightened out, so those shouldn't happen again. So today's video is on the 2022 midterm Senate elections. Those will be in 2 years. And I know this map may look a little bit odd, so let me explain. The dark red and dark blue, the safe Republican and safe Democratic, 34 Republican seats and 41 Democratic seats, those are either not up or safe in either 2020 or 2022. AKA, regardless of how they're going to get there, they are going to end up in one party's hands or another. Notice that 41 is big for Democrats because it means they will not, for any reason, be in a filibuster-proof minority. The inner circles, each state has 2 senators, so one senator's party is the color of the state, the other is the color of the inner circle. So, for example, West Virginia's 2 senators are Democrat Joe Manchin and Republican Shelley Moore Capito. Neither's up in 2022. Manchin, the senior senator, colors the state blue, and Capito, the junior senator, colors the state red. Now, the races that are not dark blue or dark red and in the inner circles are 2020 competitive. For example, in North Carolina, the 2022 race is competitive. We'll get to that in a little bit. But the 2020 race, Cal Cunningham versus Tom Tillis, is a tilt blue, identified by that circle. Likewise, the main Senate race in 2020 is a lean blue, and the state itself is dark blue because Angus King, the state's other senator and independent who caucuses with the Democratic Party, is not up in 2022. As you can see, we have 2 toss-ups in 2020, Iowa and Montana, with the other senator from Montana being Jon Tester, Democrat, not up till 2024. But there are going to be 10 competitive races in the 2022 midterm elections. And because this is where the 2020 presidential race is right now, obviously the elections could change based off the presidential incumbent. We're going to assume for the most part that Joe Biden does win the election, because if Trump wins re-election, I think it is a very, very distinct possibility that Republicans quite literally lose every seat on this map. So let's say Joe Biden is likely to win. I'll give him about 80% odds to win. So I'm just going to go west to east. State of Nevada. The incumbent here will be Catherine Cortez Masto, who succeeded former Democratic Senate leader Harry Reid. She won in 2016 and should be heavily favored in a blue state. Likewise, in Arizona, this is a state where the 2020 special election will decide the incumbent, either Mark Kelly or Republican Martha McSally. Frankly, I think either way, and no matter who the incumbent is, Democrats, with Arizona trending so heavily to the left, are actually in good position to win the seat in 2022, regardless of who any incumbent is. I think the Democrats will be favored to win this race if they can put up a decent nominee. Moving over now to Iowa, the incumbent here will be Chuck Grassley. He's the current Senate President pro tempore, been in there for a long time, and I believe he's running again. I don't believe he's retiring as of right now. But either way, I would rate this race as a likely Republican. I think this race, Chuck Grassley never sees 2 close elections for the sort of battleground state that he serves. So I would give him the 5-point margin, give him the benefit of the doubt, given his record of winning elections. Now, the reason that there are so many Republican incumbents in competitive states on this map, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia. Well, Georgia is an undetermined incumbent, but they all have Republican incumbents. The reason why is because this cycle recently been very friendly to Republicans. Because think about it, 2022, the last elections these Republicans had to run in were 2016, which was a Republican year, although Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote, and some senators did vote her. 2010, that was a Republican wave year. 2004, neither party really, well, Republicans did fairly well in 2004. 1998, Republican wave year. The last Democratic year that these senators would have had to run was 1992. So you have a lot of Republican incumbents that have never run a race in a Democratic-friendly year. And this race, I certainly don't think will be as friendly to Republicans as 2016 or 2010. We'll see if it's something like 2004. That would be optimal for Republicans. Moving on, Ron Johnson, Republican incumbent in Wisconsin, seems to be retiring. I'm going to rate this race as a toss-up because no one really knows what happens in Wisconsin. Electoral-wise, Wisconsin's a battleground state. It's trending slowly to the right as it loses population. A lot of its minority voters moving down to the south and the Sun Belt, which makes those shift toward the left. So I don't know if Ron Johnson's going to be retiring, but either way, very close race. Again, Ron Johnson has won recent elections because 2016, Trump won Wisconsin. 2010, Republicans dominated Wisconsin, which, side note, has one of the most gerrymandered maps in the country. Democrats have only held the state House majority briefly and narrowly from 2009 to 2011. The gerrymander has been really bad since the 90s in the state of Wisconsin. All right, moving down to Ohio, the incumbent here is Rob Portman, who was elected, I believe, in 2010. I know he was reelected in 2016. And given Ohio's partisan lean and Portman's decent popularity, I'm going to go ahead and rate this race as a likely. Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania, he's a pretty unpopular incumbent, has very, very narrowly won twice against Arlen Specter in 2010, the Republican turned Democrat, and then very narrowly riding Trump's coattails in 2016. I say that ends in 2022. I'm going to rate this race as a tilt Democratic, but it could very well become a lean. It could also become a toss-up. I just don't like to rate races too extreme because we're so far out, so I like to go close to the middle. Moving down to North Carolina, this is another seat. We don't really know what's happening, so I'm going to rate this as a toss-up. I think Richard Burr's going to retire. Yeah, Richard Burr will presumably retire unless something drastic changes. But North Carolina is a battleground state. Maybe Republicans have the edge here, but I think this one will be very close. Look how the Democrats are already at 50 seats with 4 toss-ups, so very favorable map for the Democrats, obviously. All right, 3 more races. Georgia incumbent is undetermined, but regardless of who that is, regardless of who the presidential incumbent is, with Georgia shifting to the left, this should be a tilt Republican state, a tilt Republican race, regardless of if it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, regardless of if it's Doug Collins, Matt Lieberman, or Raphael Warnock. This is going to be a battleground state. It's going to be a toss-up in 2024. It is a toss-up in 2020, but I'm going to give this one the tilt Republican in 2022 because of the current partisan lean in the state. Florida, you've got Marco Rubio. He's generally outperformed a lot of Republicans in the state. He's one of the more popular Republicans in Florida and in the country. Should be a formidable 2024 presidential contender, whether or not Trump wins, especially if Trump loses, though. I think Marco Rubio would appease the Trump wing of that party a lot more than a candidate like Larry Hogan. So I'm going to leave this race as a lean Republican. All right, one more race. That is the state of New Hampshire. Maggie Hassan, the incumbent here. She beat Kelly Ayotte in 2016. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kelly Ayotte. She was the state's Republican senator, won in 2010, but was defeated narrowly by Maggie Hassan in 2016, giving New Hampshire to popular Democratic female senators. So I know Jeanne Shaheen is up in 2020. That's a likely race. I'm going to rate New Hampshire as a lean just because of how competitive this state is, but ultimately this could become a likely. I don't think Republicans are winning this one, regardless of the incumbent here, Maggie Hassan, heavily favored to win re-election. I just don't know the margin. So here is my way too early 2022 Senate projection. We have 2 toss-ups for 2022, Wisconsin and North Carolina, and 2 toss-ups in 2020, Montana and Iowa. So North Carolina is going to have 2 very competitive, very expensive, a lot of heavy spending races, 1 tilt Democrat, 1 toss-up here. So the battleground states for 2022 will be Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, potentially Arizona above all. But we also have some likelies that could become dark horse competitive races. It's a very interesting map to look at. There are a lot of layers, and even if the 2022 races go as I've projected them, the 2020 races could shape the balance of the Senate. Thank y'all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And I have, I believe, an Iowa State of the Day going up on Thursday.